How's it going, everyone? What is cracking? Just want to say a huge thanks to everybody, to all my supporters and everything, and everyone who subscribes and likes and leaves good comments and everything. I really appreciate it. I put a lot of work into my videos, so I'm glad that it actually helps people and that you guys enjoy it. So I wanted to spend this video in light of reaching 2.5k explaining how I got into Tekken and how I started making videos. Because everyone's story is different, and like I always enjoy hearing other people's stories of how they got into it, so I thought something special, I'll do this. So it all started, so the game came out July 2017, I would say around January or February of 2017. Yeah, that's it. So I used to play Tekken Tag 2, but just button mashing, Like, I used to think when you get a counter hit, it just gets one extra hit. That's all I thought it was. Like, I never knew you could get combos. I never knew about juggles or anything. So, I used to play with my friend, and he loved the game, and we both would just button mash, right? Now, bear in mind, I was playing on an Xbox 360 pad. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but the pad is like one whole button. It's not even like individual 4 D-pad, right? So, but obviously I didn't know about movement and dashing and backdash and Korean backdash, all that stuff. So it wasn't an option. Wasn't a obstacle for me at the time, right? Anyway, I started to win against him a fair bit, and then a couple other people joined in, and we used to play online a lot. But just obviously button mashing. I used to play like everybody I could, and just like press all the buttons and hopefully win, and I used to, so I was happy with it, right? Anyway, I found a few other people along the way, because we used to hold lobbies, right? And the lobbies were open and people would join, and I started to beat more and more people, but I realized I lost a few times people who were beating me with juggles and grabs, right? Grabs is always a good way to win when you first start. And I didn't even know you could grab in the game, so I started, looking how to break grabs, and most importantly the juggles, because you guys know the absurd damage you can get in Tekken Tag 2 from juggles. I googled, juggles, because I used to love Jin, right? And I spent 3 hours trying to do this one Jin combo, because I had no idea of the concept of how to actually do a combo. So you know how it's like, you launch them, and in those days it was bound, and then, finish it off. I had no idea of that. So it took me that long to get this one Jin combo down. And it was the only combo I knew for the entirety of that Tekken, right? Then I started to use the combo, and I started to like it a lot. Because I was like, I'm taking off this huge chunk of their health, and this game is actually really fun. So I went to dinner with my girlfriend one night, and we're at High Point, and afterwards we went to the arcade, and I noticed there was an arcade cabinet there for Tekken 7. Now this game obviously wasn't out yet, and I thought, oh, this is a game I play heaps at home. I'm gonna try it out, So I sat down, and I started playing, and then some people rocked up, and they were interested in Tekken as well. So they versed me, and with just all the stuff I had gathered, along the way, just like little things like, oh, if he ducks, I'm gonna do a mid move, or if he stands up, I'm gonna trip him over with a low. And I started to win more and more, and I loved it, because this game is awesome when you play against other people. It's not meant to be played just at the at home on arcade mode or whatever. Anyway, so eventually I started to go every week. So we'd go to High Point, we'd have dinner, and then after that I'd go straight to the arcade. And I love going there because just versing people in the city who love the game, and just anybody who was interested in Tekken would show up, and sometimes there'd be like a huge line, and I thought the arcade days were over, even though I just got there. But I thought that those days no one played in the arcade or anything. But there was actually quite a few amount of people, but I think it's because Tekken 7 wasn't out yet, Anyway, So eventually, I loved it to the point where I was like, man, I want to fight the strongest people in Melbourne, if they even play on console or whatever, you know? I was actually pretty confident at this point. I thought, you know, I am one of the best. I had no idea what was about to happen. And so I posted on Reddit and I said, you know, I made a post. If anybody wants to play me, I'll be at the arcade in High Point every Friday. You know, if there's any good players that want to play or just rock up, you know. And someone actually responded, and they said, well, there's a good amount of people that play in the inner city on an arcade machine. We all chipped in and we bought one. You should come down and play if you're interested. Now at this point, I was thinking, you know, no one can beat me right now. Like, I've learned the game inside out. Like, there's nothing they can do that I haven't seen, is what I thought. So I did that, and I rocked up thinking I was the king of Melbourne. I remember walking in, I went upstairs and glanced at the screen for a quick second, just thinking, I wonder if these guys can play. Like, I want to get a quick sneak peek of their gameplay, you know? So I walk in and walk around the corner, and I glanced to my left for a sec. And I remember seeing a really quick 2-string hit that was low parried instantly. Like, it was really quick. It was just, you could tell these guys knew what was going on. And as soon as I saw that low parry instantly, I was like, at this point as well, I actually didn't know that low parry was universal or even how to do it. So that just shows you how small my knowledge base was. Anyway, I was confident in my own abilities, so, you know, I sat down, looked around, waited for my turn, you know. Bear in mind, you know, the game wasn't even out yet, so I was just playing based off what I knew from Jin. And yeah, so I sat down, got absolutely destroyed, like not even close. I think maybe I got perfected like 4 or 5 of the rounds. I did get 1 round, which I was happy about. And I remember I stood up and I was like, okay, there's so much that I don't know about this game. So following that, I asked a million questions, to which people started explaining frames and, you know, combos, juggles, you know, unsafe moves, launch punishable moves. And I had no idea that's how the game worked. I didn't know it was that detailed and it had that much, you know, depth to it. So, you know, there was two ways I could have gone about this. I could have been like, well, you know, the gap's too far because these people have been playing for over 10 years, you know. Gap's too far, give up, or just keep playing. And I loved the game, and I thought, what's the harm in keep playing, you know? I want to actually really try to get good at this game. I've already put in, you know, however long I've been playing. Probably at that point, it was around 4 months or something, 3 months. Actually, no, it was less than that. Probably about 2 months. Anyway, after asking all these questions, 2 really big pieces of information stuck with me. That was the low parry, and it was the first time I had ever seen an electric. I didn't know what the electric was, and when I saw one of the players do it, I was like, whoa, what's that? And they're like, oh, it's a special version, you know, of this thing called the Wind God Fist. And I was like, so much information, but I tried my best to take it all on board because it was interesting and it sounded really cool, like a just frame. I was like, what's that? I didn't understand. Anyway, and one of the players there also pulled off a down forward 2 counter hit perfect electric. So when that happened, one of the guys there was like, oh my god, that is so hard. You guys will never be able to do it, you know, because you guys are new. And I remember holding that in my brain and was like, one day I'm going to actually pull that off because he said it's too hard and nobody can do it, so I want to do it. Anyway, I went home and I remember with the low parry, I thought it was, like I asked, how do you do the low parry? And they said down, forward. And because I actually had no clue and I had no sense, I actually thought the like down and forward was down and then forward. And I'm like, this doesn't parry anything. What's going on? So I was doing a quarter circle forward pretty much with the Xbox 360 pad. Anyway, I finally worked it out down forward because in the loading screen of Tekken Tag 2, it comes up you can parry by pressing diagonal this way. And I was like, oh my god. So anyway, when I finally found out how to do that, I thought it was the best thing ever. And I just started low parrying all this stuff and thought it was the coolest thing. Anyway, I remember I was sitting on my bedroom floor practicing the electric over and over, and I found it really difficult on 360 pad because, like I said, if you guys have ever seen it, it's just one continuous button pretty much. It's so hard to do on that. You can't even move. Anyway, I remember after 4 hours, I finally got my first electric and I just ran out of the house. It was the best thing ever. Like, I was like, I can't believe I got that. This is the coolest game. And yeah, from this point, I heard about BAM, which is the biggest tournament in Melbourne. Actually, it's the biggest tournament in Australia. So yeah, I heard about this and I was like, oh, I want to compete again, you know. I know a bit more about the game, you know, I want to try again. And I wanted to get really good to compete. So I YouTubed a lot of stuff and practiced a lot. It was important to note that I couldn't practice legit because the game wasn't out. So I had to go to, you know, my knowledge with Tekken Tag 2 and then go to High Point, practice. And I don't know if you guys remember, but on the T7 cabs, you can only practice in practice mode for 5 minutes at a time. And then you got to keep putting money in. So, but luckily I knew the guys at the counter and they let me play, you know, for an hour at a time, and you know, it was great. I was getting practice in, and yeah, learning the game pretty much. So this was around May, and the game was set to be released in July. So I practiced as much as I could. I went to BAM, you know, awesome experience. They had a day before, which was for the new challenges. If you've never won a tournament, you can enter this tournament, and it's all people like new that were playing the game. Anyway, all these strong ass players were there. It was amazing. Like, it was the best experience ever. I got absolutely wrecked again, but something great came out of it because I found lots of tips and things to help me be a better player that I wouldn't have known unless it was told to me. Because the game doesn't teach you that much, and it's not on any forums. Well, it might be on forums, but the intricate details, like I remember learning so many just basic stuff that I didn't know before that. Like, for example, I kept blocking versus this guy. He's from Brisbane, and he picked Alyssa, and he was doing this string that's like obvious and duckable, but I didn't know about ducking at all then. I didn't know you could duck heights. I just blocked, and he's like, you know, you can duck that, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, duck. I'm like, what? And do what? And he's like, you can duck and then launch it if you duck it correctly. And I said, but how do I stand up and then do a launch? He goes, no, you do a while rising launch. And I was like, wow. So all highs I can duck now. Just little things like that. I didn't learn that, you know, just by playing against my friends, because they don't know. So I thought to myself, you know, I'm going to make videos about this to help other people and get their knowledge base up, because, you know, I'd been playing since January, so like 5 months at that point, and I didn't know about it. And, you know, I thought, how long is it going to be before, you know, the average person works this stuff out, you know? So I thought, why not just start making videos and inform people about it? So I started to make videos on YouTube, you know, about the best moves to use, how to get ready for Tekken 7, which is still on my channel now, by the way. So you could check those out if you wanted to see what I was talking about. And yeah, it started to go well. I was getting good reception, and I was helping people all around. We were all getting better at the same time. So, you know, you guys helped me out there, and it was going well. And I was like, oh, this is actually really fun. I can get better at the game, and each time I learn something, I can share it with the public, you know. Eventually I wanted to try out stick, because every event I would go to, I would see people using sticks, and I'm like, oh, that not only does it look fun, I feel like I would enjoy it and you know, get better results with it. So the reason I bought the stick, I remember, it was because I was playing Dragunov and I wanted to do a while running too. So instant while running too, obviously. But on pad, it was way too hard for me because my thumb, like, you gotta press it real fast like that, and it's just, the D-pad was too small for me. So I thought to myself, if I had a stick, I could just tap this. Like, this is faster than, you know, trying to tap like that. And it should make it more accurate in theory, you know? So this proved to be correct, and as soon as I got to Panthera, I tried this instantly. This and all the Mishima stuff like wave dashing, electrics, and things like that. I remember just sitting there for hours in training mode the day I got my stick. I remember I was so excited that I didn't even get it shipped over. I drove to the HQ. It's not even like a store, but you can pick things up from there, and I picked it up the same day. And yeah, I remember practicing for hours and hours, and it was just the best thing ever. Like, just doing electrics, like, you know, I was thinking back to when I did my first electric and it took me 4 hours, and I did the next one like a couple hours later. This was so consistent, you know, and it just felt awesome. Like, it felt so much more interactive than a pad. So yeah, I started to get confident, and I remember I practiced stick for a month before I even dared versing anyone online. And after this, you know, it wasn't that hard to verse people because I already had been practicing on it so long, and I got used to it. So I just want to talk about, you know, a great moment for me, and that was when I reached a point where all my hard work, it actually proved to be fruitful. It was at the second BAM tournament, exactly a year later than the one I went to. This time on stick, you know, more knowledge of frame data, practice, and I remember my first opponent I went 2-1 with, and it was a Yoshimitsu. And it was close in the beginning, but I managed to pull away and win. So the reason it meant a lot to me was I found out that he was one of the top 5 Yoshimitsus in the Oceanic region, and that I had just beaten him. And you know, it wasn't off like cheap grabs or anything. It was like hard work, pokes, you know, reads, side steps, all that stuff. And you know, at this moment I just thought I must have come a long way to be able to beat someone like that. And yeah, after this I continued to beat my next 5 opponents, and I finished just outside the top 32. Now for me, who's only been playing like, I would say 18 months now, it's around 18 months, yeah. This might not be the ideal result, and a lot of you might think, you know, we haven't won a tournament yet, so what are you talking about? But as long as I saw improvements in my play, I was happy. And you know, this May I got another BAM coming up, so I'll try that and beat my record and do even better, because you know, as long as I'm playing better each time, or even if, this is the main thing that I take away from it, even if I lose, if I do something correctly or like do something better, I'm happy with that, you know. Of course we all want to win, but you know, when I get to that point, eventually, you know, I'll start doing more and more things correctly, and eventually, yeah, I think I'll win. So yeah, it's all about your attitude and determination. So yeah, and yeah, eventually I started making more and more videos, you know, telling people what I had just learned. You can actually sidestep here. A good way to attack here is dash in, don't do anything, don't press anything, and then you punish. You know, all these different tips that I learned along the way from all these different people. So, you know, and on top of that, you know, I would think to myself, hey, this YouTube thing, it's going all right. I want to think of ways I can entertain the people, you know. So I started to come up with all different kinds of videos, and you guys responded. You guys, you know, enjoyed it, and yeah, it eventually just grew and grew, and you know, we all got better at Tekken. That's the story of the day, you know. And yeah, I know it's still only small. It's only at 2.5k. But I think that's decent for a channel centered on Tekken, especially, you know, in the region I'm in, because Tekken's not that big. There's other games that are bigger, but I think it's the best game, so I'm going to stick with it. So thanks everyone for subscribing, and I'm going to be streaming from now on as well, at least once a week, so you guys tune in for that. I'll post a video here telling you guys when, and yeah, I appreciate the support, and I'll continue to do my best to produce great content for you guys in the future. So, you know, thanks for watching my video. I know it was pretty long, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys soon for the next video. Peace.